You know there are a lot of rumors out there right now, and you would like to address them head on, so I'll give it to you. Go ahead.
I have to, yeah. I'm here to admit that I am, in fact, HIV positive. And I have to put a stop to this onslaught, this barrage of attacks and of sub-truths and very harmful and mercurial stories that are about that threatening the health of so many others, which couldn't be farther from the truth.
Charlie Sheen on the Today Show this morning there with Matt Lauer, confirming that he is HIV positive. And on the line this morning, we have the director of the Alpha Center. Hi there, Chris. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
All right. Good morning to you. Thank you for being on the show with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, what did you think when did you hear the news early this morning? Did you hear all the rumors yesterday? What did you think when you saw this story?
Well, I heard some of the rumors yesterday, and then I've definitely been trying to get bits and pieces of it this morning. I think it's a great step as an individual to admit publicly, or even to admit to themselves that they're HIV positive. Is such an emotional and strong thing to do.
I was thinking, so when I first heard the story this morning, and I was like, okay, so he's known for 4 years, and in the media, we've heard about all this reckless behavior that he's had, especially in the last 4 years, and I'm like, wow, he's out there having unprotected sex. He admitted that to Matt Lauer, but then as the morning went on, and I've seen more clips from the Today Show and things like that, I thought maybe a person who is diagnosed HIV positive, it takes them a really long time to come to grips with this. Do you see that with what in the work that you do?
Absolutely. I mean, with HIV especially, people face two types of stigma. They have disease stigma, where other people aren't very knowledgeable about HIV and how you get it and what that means for the body. And then with HIV, you also have moral stigma, where it's a lot of, well, you did something to deserve that. So an individual being diagnosed positive is getting it coming from all sorts of directions, all sorts of sides, which makes it really difficult to process that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, now he's said that he's known that he's had this for about 4 years. How long could he have had it before he realized that he had it?
Well, that's a great question, and it's really difficult to say because the way the disease progresses and it evolves in the body, for an individual that's not in any kind of medical care, we generally expect their lifespan of about 10 years before their immune system is super compromised, and that's when they're showing up in ERs with a lot of other conditions going on. But, depending on what his kind of testing regimen was, I know he thought that it was tumors, it could have been a fairly new diagnosis or a fairly new infection, so we don't really know where he is in the disease progression.
Follow up to that, for someone who becomes HIV positive, so say D-Day is today, how long could it be before someone realizes that they might be HIV positive or before it shows up?
Right. So if there's no testing or screening, so the person just continues with their life and does nothing, and then there's no medical care, we're looking at about 10 years, right? But if an infection happened today, depending on the type of test that we're doing, we could get a diagnosis in as early as 5 days from now. At that point, we would get access to medical care, appropriate medications. We'd be looking at lifespans of 20, 30 plus years.
And so Charlie Sheen, after this news broke, said that his blood is HIV free. What does that mean?
Yeah, so he's talking about viral suppression. So it's the number of copies of the virus within the blood. And it's the national standard is under 200 copies detected in a blood draw, and we call that undetectable. That's what he's referring to. So the virus is still there. It's just at such low levels that the risk of transmission is reduced.
So you're still
versus someone who's. Go ahead.
You're still HIV positive, even though it's undetectable.
Correct. Yep.
And does it mean that he's less likely to infect a sex partner than if it's undetectable?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. Think about it. If there was a viral load of 100,000 copies of the virus, that's a lot more infectious material than something that's under 200 copies.
And are they ever able to tell, is this because of his sexual past? Is this because of drug use? I mean, are you ever able to determine what the source was?
Not unless, he can recall a partner that he had that was HIV positive or an exact time and action. We can't track that necessarily.
So if you're a partner of Charlie Sheen's and you hear this news this morning and you're panicking, what are they doing? Like, do you immediately put them on antivirals, or is it they have to have the test first? And I mean, is there any proactive thing that these women are probably doing this morning?
Yeah, for sure. So depending on when their encounter was with Charlie Sheen, if they're within 72 hours of their sexual encounter, they could get what we call post-exposure prophylaxis. And that's a antiretroviral medication regimen to reduce the likelihood that HIV will infect their body.
I didn't even know that existed. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's been out for quite a while, and actually in the past couple of years, there's been more of a movement for what we call pre-exposure prophylaxis. So proactively taking a medication to reduce the risk of becoming infected.
So I want to go back to something. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just saying with that post-exposure, though, it's a really short 72-hour window. Once we're outside of that, the medication isn't going to be nearly as effective.
Okay.
What if a woman heard this, sorry, Mike, and she slept with Charlie Sheen 15 years ago? Does she need to go get tested?
Well, and that was part of my question, because he had just said that you could have this for 10 years without ever knowing that you have it. So those women pre-4 years ago should probably be going to get tested, correct?
Well, absolutely. And the fact is, when he was diagnosed, there would have been some disease investigation and what we call partner notification. So the Department of Epidemiology would have done everything they could to find those partners, notify them, and then get them into testing and care as soon as possible.
Now,
but it's always a good idea to get tested if you're worried about an exposure.
That's what I was wondering. Is anyone who's sexually active need to be tested? That's not within a marriage of 20. You know what I'm saying? Someone who's...
Right. I mean, the CDC recommendations are if you have more than one partner in a 12-month period, or an anonymous partner, or someone whose sexual history you don't know, you should be getting tested at least once a year.
If you give blood, you are getting tested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody that gives blood gets tested now.
That's true.
Right. Also, people that give plasma.
Okay.
How many new cases here in Idaho happen every year?
So it varies from year to year. In about June of this past year, we had about 5 new cases just here in the Treasure Valley area. What we're seeing a lot of right now are new cases of syphilis, but we estimate approximately 1,600 individuals living with HIV in Idaho as of 2015.
Well, I'm always curious, since we have you on the line, when I see these stories and it's all of a sudden we're seeing these new cases of syphilis. Why? Where all of a sudden is it just this outburst of syphilis?
So it's these kind of clusters, and syphilis just spreads like wildfire because it needs so much less infected material. We're seeing it a lot in men, especially because men are usually asymptomatic to STIs, syphilis especially. And syphilis, it seems like so many other different diseases, so it's hard to immediately pinpoint that it's syphilis. And an individual will go to their doctor, and it's a missed opportunity to say, hey, are you sexually active? Let's also screen for these other things.
All right, now before we...
Yep.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, before we let you go, I was just what information can we give our listeners if they want to go get tested? Maybe they're shy, they're nervous, they're embarrassed, they don't know a lot about their sexual past, maybe names or whatever. What are their options?
Yeah, so the Central District Health Department is always an option for individuals, private doctors, and then Alpha, where I work, is also an option. We do an antibody test, and it's totally free of charge, and it takes about 20 minutes to get the result, and we're on 8th Street in downtown Boise.
All right, perfect. Chris, we appreciate it. The Alpha Center.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll make sure this information's up on our website. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us this morning.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great day.
One of the questions you had asked earlier this morning too is like, can you trust Charlie Sheen, to change his lifestyle? And
I'm just saying, do we want him as the poster child of HIV? Because
Exactly.
And you shouldn't be in shame jail for the rest of your life based on decisions you've made. But is he the guy who's going to do the right thing now?
Well, Charlie appeared on Today's show earlier this morning, and that was one of the questions that was asked of Charlie's doctor.
First, are you still doing drugs?
No, I'm not. No.
Are you still drinking?
I'm still drinking a little bit, yeah.
Are you worried that in an impaired state that Charlie will simply lapse on taking his medication? I mean, it impairs your judgment. Can he be trusted, and I'm talking with him right here,
Sure.
Can he be trusted to continue to take that medicine on a regular basis if he continues to drink and perhaps do drugs?
We're petrified about Charlie. We're so anxious that if he was overly depressed, if he was abusing substance, he would forget these pills.
So he had that exact question that you had asked earlier this morning when we had heard the first part of the interview early, because he appeared on the Today Show. Of course, their time, our time, it would have been around 5 o'clock. We are, in case you missed the interview and any of the information there, we are going to post that later on x106radio.com so that you can hear it yourself. If you have information that you need, you can also get your information.
JD pulled this info for us on the antivirals and the cost of it. We were talking about that earlier this morning.
Ridiculously
And I
expensive.
cannot pronounce the names of them, but for 30 tablets of one, it's over $2,600.
And that's just one of the medicine
A month.
that you'd have to take. I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars every month.
And then there's another pill that's $57 a pill, and that runs about $3,400 a month. I mean, dang. That's expensive. So Charlie Sheen, in case you missed it earlier this morning, admitted he came out because he's been paying people to keep quiet, and they're not keeping quiet. Obviously, the story has been rumored for the last couple months now, and he was like, I'm tired of paying you as you're taking money out of my children's mouth. No, you took money out of your kid's mouth, Charlie.
I'm sorry, you can't pot, meat, kettle. They didn't force you to pay money. You paid it because you wanted to keep it quiet and take foods out of your children's mouth.
Mike and Kate in the morning. Boise's best X106.